bodies are not close to one another. So they were like, oh, we'll put you in a cormorant like safari tent, which is like the furthest overnight. Like, what do we do?
Having the lizards. Like, what was that was coming up? The whenever we were there was something. What was it? It was one of the big. Was,
monitor lizards.
Yeah, it's like.
Okay, is this oh, hello. Am I unmuted? Chat. If you could, you can hear me. It's showing that my mic is off or microphone is on. This is weird. I can't hear anything. Chat. Everyone. Can you hear me? Hello. Okay, hopefully you guys can hear me. I'm just going to give it a few more minutes for everybody who RSVP'd to get on, and then we'll get started. This is the Leo new moon call, and I've got my candles. Can you see me? Can you hear me? I'm not seeing anything in the chat. Okay, well, I'm going to assume that you guys can hear me, and we are going to go ahead and get started. Gonna light my candle. Let's do a themed color. Gonna do red for passion. Apologies, folks. I'm usually all set up when we get started, but I am really embodying the Leo new moon energy of doing this. That's like fully what the Leo new moon is all about. So, this is just really weird though, because okay, it says I'm unmuted, so I hope you can hear me. I'm not seeing anything in the chat. I'm not seeing anybody. Oh, there's some folks up. Okay, so here we go. Hi, everyone. Welcome to the new moon in Leo. Oh, cool. Okay, good. You guys can hear me. We're going to get started. So what you're going to need is your Foursquare. I'll grab mine because I didn't get that. And we're going to be planting our new moon in Leo intentions. And then I'm actually going to spend most of this call doing Q&A because we have all the replays for all of the ceremonies up in the members area. So I want to start using these member call times for member questions so that folks can answer or get their questions answered. So what you're going to want to do is get out your Foursquare. This is my old one, so I've completed a cycle. So if you've been doing this for a minute and your Leo new moon is already completed from the last new moon and your full moon is completed, then you're going to want to get a new blank Foursquare, which is just a blank piece of paper or you can get the downloads in the members only area. You can also message me and I could just send them to you if you want. Otherwise you can find them in the Capricorn new moon. The entire squared away template is there, and you can print a full year of front and back 4 squares, which they're just kind of nice, But otherwise, blank piece of paper is fine. And you're going to want to plant in your 4 quadrants. So when we plant intentions, we talk a lot, just like planting a garden. So you're going to think of your life in 4 quadrants, and as if you are going to plant 4 quadrants of crops, flowers, of things you can eat, whatever it is that you want to grow. And the language that I like to use are health, wealth, love, and perfect self-expression. And if you've been doing this for a while and those terms no longer resonate, I encourage the use of ease, flow, connection, and expansion. I still use them in the same general terms of health, wealth, love, and perfect self-expression. They're just a little more fluid of terms to kind of let things manifest, maybe without such tight constraints on them. I also invite you to use whatever terms that you would like. And so remember, at the new moon, you're going to plant 2 sets of intentions, a micro and a macro. So micro being something like an intention or a desire, that's another word for intention, a desire that you would like to manifest in the next 2 weeks. And then macro being something that you would like to manifest in the next 6 months. I know for me, for my micro, I don't know if this is gonna be, that's probably my health quadrant. We're homeschooling this year. So in the next 2 weeks, I am getting my kids all squared away for homeschool, getting their books together, getting their lessons organized and planned out for the year. That would be like my micro. So in 2 weeks, I'm trying to take all the practical steps to get that done, and considering I live in Africa and getting, the resources here and getting it all pulled together. It's practical. It's like, it's probable that I could get it done in 2 weeks, but I'm going to let the universe support me in making sure that, just like all the little things, like all of the books make it in a shipment and I can start on time and my kids have a great experience with it. That's like a macro thing that in 2 weeks, if I let the universe support me, it can come together really quickly. And then like a macro thing would be, the health of our family in 6 months is that we have like a positive homeschool experience and we're settled into our groove. And come January, which is when the next Leo full moon is. I was just looking at this. I believe it's January. I'm gonna have to pull it up for you guys. I just put it, if you go into the app, it is in there. Let me pull it up. And the next one is, you can go to the forum. Sorry, I literally just updated the 2020 moons this afternoon. So if you go to all categories, go to ritual guides and resources. Sorry, I'm doing this on the app. So hopefully you guys have the app downloaded. And then ritual guides and resources. New and full moon calendars. So click on that. And then it has the 2021 full moon dates and the 2021 new moons. So the 2021 Leo is February 27th. So when you're planting your intentions, you're gonna write today's date for the Leo new moon, which is August 19th. And then the corresponding Leo full moon will be February 27th. Wow, so we've been doing homeschool for more than 6 months. Well, it'll only be 6 months at that point, but it'll be into the new school year. And by that point, who knows where the world will be and kind of what we'll be up to. So that's an example of like a micro and macro that's kind of within the same energy that deals with like the health of my family, being able to get our education plan together. And the health of that is like that we all stay sane and we enjoy our days and we, have a good time. Like today we had our first tennis lessons, distance tennis. And it's just a new routine. Like instead of our old routine, we've got a new routine and we're finding our groove in it. And so, oh yeah, there was the tennis coach literally just texted me saying we're booked for next week. That was kind of funny. It was so crazy. Remind me at the end of this, if I don't circle back to talk to you guys about entanglement. I had a guest on the podcast in 2018. His name was Dean Radin. He came on to talk about his book, Real Magic. And he has a new one called Entangled Minds. And I've been reading it. And I knew about it a long time ago. He had mentioned it when he came on the podcast, like 2018, that he was working on it and working to get it published because he'd been writing it for years. And I've been doing some of the stuff in it, and I want to talk about that. So earmark that, entanglement. Maybe I should even put it in the chat, but I don't want to like get too off topic. Okay, so you've got your new moon intentions, micro and macro. They can be, I'd like to encourage that it's like if you're going to plant in a quadrant, you kind of do generally the same thing. So like if any given month you're focusing on your health, like I'm doing a new skin regime, a routine, and like the intention is that, you know, in 2 weeks things kind of clear up, and then in 6 months I'm not having to readdress like smaller things, and I can just kind of like put whatever I'm going through to bed. You can do the same thing with abundance, whether it's like a certain funnel or a certain channel of abundance, or if it's just opening your abundance channels up completely in new ways. You can, for your micro and macro, make these as generic or as specific as you would like. And I encourage it to be a little bit generic because there's this thing called the law of substitution. And anytime you're trying to manifest something like a little bit too, you're holding it a little bit too tightly, it's almost like you're wrestling with the universe to like put it into place. And the universe is like, is this really what you want? Because I could actually bring you this exact thing in like a dozen different ways if you just kind of like let go a little bit. So it's that whole thing, like be careful what you wish for. I don't mean that in a negative sense. I just mean that it's like, if that's really what you want, the universe is going to conspire to give it to you exactly as you want. But if you allow for the law of substitution, being like, bring me this or something better, the universe can work a lot quicker in supporting your manifestation of things, rather than being like, well, this is exactly what she wants. So she keeps saying that's exactly what she wants. So she's just, I'm going to bring that to you. So yeah, that's your new moon intentions. And then make sure you mark the date of the Leo full moon, which will be February 27th. That's going to be a full snow moon. Okay, so moving on to the Leo full moon ritual. There are brand new copies of these in the, I don't know why I just got so excited. There's brand new copies of these in the members forum in all of the rituals. So whichever ritual this is Leo new moon, but the updated PDFs are in all of them. So you can go and click and you can download them. I don't know that I've put them, we haven't bundled them yet for members. That's coming, I guess. We'll get that together for you guys. But otherwise you can just go in and download the ritual, and it's, you know, it's just fun. It's like a little bit cleaner, prettier, just fun. Some 2020 updates. And yeah, actually that is exactly what it is. So in the members forum, you'll see kind of the original content of the ritual. But over time, because I've been doing this practice for several years now, I think I'm on year 3 or 4 by this point. We're in 2016. So yeah, we're going on year 5 in 2021. And so along the way, I've kind of like refined and tweaked them. And so in this PDFs, that's where you'll find like the most up-to-date information. There's nothing egregious in the actual members area. It's just if you get the PDF, you'll get like the most up-to-date. We've added links to the new podcasts, new folks that I've had on the show. Okay, and so you can get that by going to the forum. I don't know, have you guys downloaded the app yet? I, for years, just always did it on my desktop. I was like, we have this app. Why don't I start using it? Wouldn't that be cool? And now I'm kind of like, I can literally do this anywhere. I've got the app, I've got my phone, I've got the stand. Why did I not let this be easier sooner is my biggest question. And that leads me perfectly into the Leo new moon, because the energy of this this ritual is all about like, let this just be easy. Like, what would it take for this to be easy? So I'm gonna show you guys on the, maybe you can see that, maybe you can't, I hope you can. I could probably do a screen share. So doing less to achieve more. This is like full on going to be my motto this year, because I'm maxed. I'm just at the point where I'm like, I can't do anything else. So let me try doing less. And that's literally always, anytime I have success, like a big chunk of success or any kind of measurement, it's always when I've just been like, well, that's it. I can't do anything else. I quit. I'm just going to like let the universe support me. I know everything always turns out exactly how it's going to, exactly how it should be. And the more I can take my hands off the wheel, the better. As a Capricorn and like kind of a type A person, that doesn't usually, like, it's counterintuitive for me. But in this instance, like, I'm really leaning into the Leo new moon, and I'm going to remember to come back to the entanglement thing in a minute. Okay, so doing less to achieve more. Speaking of, if you scroll all the way down to the bottom, that's where you'll see the Leo square. So if you ever need the, the square of life that I'm talking about, you can get them directly in the app. You can download this as a digital copy, or you can print it, and you can also do it from a desktop. Okay, so I'm gonna grab the Leo new moon ritual just so you guys can see what this looks like. We did a really fun photo shoot to get all these done. You wanna hear something funny? Talk about less to do more. I tried to get all of these illustrated, and the price to get things illustrated was so astronomical that then I was like, well, how much would it cost if I just like did some pictures and got a digital artist? And it was like a third of the price. I was like, okay, I'm gonna get over the fact that I don't really wanna be on camera. I'm gonna be on camera. It's gonna cost less. It's gonna take less time. Boom, done. And that's an example of doing less. Okay, so there you go. So you can see the rituals. There we go. Okay. Doing less to achieve more. There are many modes of manifesting, but the difference between efforting and allowing is trust that the universe has your back. So, how little are you willing to do to achieve your dreams? Somebody actually messaged me, sorry, side note, on Facebook and was like, what do you mean how much? Like, and they like tried to correct me on my own Facebook page, like, about this, which they say as soon as you start getting trolls, that means something is happening right in the world, which is crazy. And I was just like, you just don't get it. So like, why are you here? But I appreciate that you're taking the time. So yes, I do mean, how little are you willing to do to achieve your dreams? So in our modern world that moves at a lightning pace and expects us to be on 24/7, constantly moving, achieving, and angling to meet deadlines, beat the competition, and outmaneuver anyone who we perceive to have what we want, or heaven forbid, be ahead of us, what if doing less could actually get us farther ahead? We've all heard the story about the turtle and the hare. The confident hare believes the turtle couldn't possibly outrun him in a race, while the turtle continues to move ahead at a slow and steady pace. The rabbit speeds along, arrogantly choosing to rest and wait for the turtle to catch up. As the allegory goes, the exhausted hare continues to sleep as the consistent turtle proceeds to the finish line first. During the last lunar cycle, we harness the energy of letting the non-physical aspects of the universe and our physical environment work for us. With the new moon in Leo, it's time we shift into a steady pace and achieve more by doing less, with a ritual of accepting the gifts the universe is ready to deliver to us, and finding ways to give thanks for the splendor that is ours by divine right, with love, light, and an attitude of gratitude. Autumn. So this idea that I use the word divine right a lot. It's Florence Scovel-Shinn, who I talk about ad nauseum. She's the metaphysician where I got the idea to do the Foursquare, the Square of Life. She has a book called Game of Life and How to Play It. And she's a metaphysician from like the early 1900s, long since passed. And she talks about like things that are ours by divine right. And it's this idea that we've come into this time-space reality, and that's not what she calls it, but like we are on this plane of existence. We are alive in these bodies for a reason. And the reason is to claim our inheritance, our divine right. And I know there's a lot of biblical references to that, and other like spiritual works that reference this. I'm not super versed in that. I'm not super familiar with the biblical terms, but anytime I say it, people are like, oh, well, and, Jeremiah this and Matthew this and Isaiah, whatever. I'm like, okay, awesome. So apparently, the Bible's got our back on this, or the Quran, or whatever religious text. So there's this idea, in religious, religious sacred texts, but also in like a more spiritual text or a more spiritual frame, is that we've come into this existence for a reason, and all we have to do is just claim what is ours. It's the same idea that like we come in as seeds or seedlings, and everything is already embedded within our soul to grow into its full potential. We don't need to take anything on like a soul level to become our highest expression. We take on lessons, but like inherently nothing needs to be added or taken away. Like we're perfect as we come. And I honestly, I've thought and tuned into this so much, especially when we see people who, you know, their lived experience is one where you're just like, gosh, like that was what their soul agreed to do. Like that, and it's hard. It's very hard when you look at the reality of some people's life. I have a nephew who's a quadriplegic. He was in a car accident when he was 6 years old, and he's been a quadriplegic ever since. He is now 12, and no, I'm sorry, he's 13. And it was hard early on to look and say, like, this is what his soul chose. And the more his lesson unfolds and the more our lesson of having him in our family unfolds, the more the beauty of it and the serendipity and the divinity of the experience reveals itself. I see that a lot in mediumship with the death of loved ones. This global pandemic that we're going through right now, same exact situation. It's just very interesting the ways that our souls choose to express themselves in the physical, and how the lessons that we take from that can be the inheritance, in the sense that like our souls learn and they grow, and then, you know, who knows, maybe we come and do it again, or would we, what does soul choose to, I'm going to answer that in a second, or would we like go to another plane? And so let me jump over and answer that question really quick, because I only saw the first part of it. Why would a soul choose to do that? Do they have options? Oh my gosh, such a great question. And definitely one that like you wrap your brain about. I know for my nephew, like, so where's that music coming from? Oh, sorry, there's music outside. So I'm going to speak to that exact example, and then we can take it out broader, because it was, you know, it's very personal. So my nephew was 6 years old, he became a quadriplegic in a car accident, and the series of his trauma was that he actually died on the scene, and then they were able to resuscitate him. And my mother, who is a doctor in our small community, happened to get a phone call on our home phone, which she never answers. And essentially, it was my foster sister, that's his son, said, I got a call from the hospital. There's been an accident. Like, I need you to go to the hospital and check this out. They had not told her the severity of it, like none of these things. So my mom shows up on the scene at the hospital when they brought my nephew in, and he's dead. He's pronounced dead. And they're able to revive him, and then they have to transport him to another hospital. And my mom, you know, knowing that his mother is like 2 hours away and can't get there, rides in the ambulance with him to the next hospital and directly hands off his care to, you know, pediatric neurosurgeons. And because she was in the right place at the exact right time, they were able to revive him a second time. So I believe he died twice, like in transit. The first time to the first hospital, second time to the second hospital. They couldn't medevac him. They couldn't like take helicopters because it's Alaska, and it was like, what month was it? It would have been, my daughter was only 6 weeks old. So it was like March in Alaska, like whiteout conditions, they couldn't fly. And it's like an hour drive from one hospital to the next in the best of conditions. And I will get to the question of why would a soul choose that. They get there, they do all these life-saving measures, and they're able to stabilize him, but he's in a coma. And at this point, they're kind of within a couple hours of like doing all the life-saving things, they get him stabilized. And then it becomes a matter of like, okay, now we need to give the family a few hours to grieve if we're able to keep him on ventilators and all that. And then from there, we start entering conversations of organ harvesting. And so the accident was like on a Friday night. On Saturday, we all flew in. I was on the East Coast. I flew in. My mom, you know, all of our family was there. And we're preparing to say goodbye and for the organ harvesting to happen for my nephew for a Monday morning transport, because in Alaska, they don't do organ harvesting. Well, they harvest the organs, but they don't do transplants. So it would have had to go down to Seattle. Okay. So we're all preparing for a Monday morning situation. And my sister, my foster sister, on Saturday night, once we'd all kind of made these decisions, or she and her husband had made the decision to allow for organ harvesting. We were all getting ready to say our goodbyes. Sunday was going to be our last day as a family to kind of just sit vigil and then, you know, go into the next phase of this process, which would be, you know, the final goodbyes and the harvesting. And then knowing that his name is Austin, which is also my younger brother's name. So we call him Baby Austin. So Baby Austin's organs were going to be used. And you could look him up. His name is Austin Irvin in Alaska. Like if you just look up Austin, quadriplegic, Alaska, he's all over. Okay, so Saturday night rolls around. My sister is delirious, as any mother would be, and she actually had a dream. And Austin came to her in that dream and said, "Mom, please don't. I'm not ready. It's not my time. It's not my time to go back." And so she gets up the next morning, Sunday, calls the whole thing off, which, as you can imagine, be a big to-do because there's, you know, transplant teams waiting in Seattle. Families have been notified that their child's going to get an organ. And, you know, that's like a pretty intense thing to be like, you know what, never mind. That kid that was going to get my son's heart is not going to get it. Like, no, you're not going to get his retinas. Like, no. And like, granted, grief does like crazy things to people. And the doctors actually talked to my mom and my stepdad, who is a surgeon, both doctors. And they were like, you need to talk to her and tell her the reality of what will happen should he ever regain consciousness, even though he's showing no signs of life. And like, it's the humane thing to do. And the sooner we can do this, the sooner these other children can benefit. And you know, what a position to be in for my mom, for my stepdad, for my sister, for all of these people. For me, just watching. At this point, I'm just a witness. I'm literally just witnessing. And they decide not to. And then Monday morning, you know, so everybody's like, okay, well, we'll just give it a few days. Maybe we can still move this to later in the week. Like, okay, let's just everybody take a breath and we'll just see what happens. I can't believe I'm telling this story. This is such a long diatribe, but it's relevant. And Monday morning comes around and he shows signs of life. My nephew, like EEGs, I believe is what they're called, like brain scans, signs of life. Whereas Saturday night when they had done them, no signs of life. And had my sister not had that dream and said, wait, we need to pause, we need to stop, because other people involved in the situation were like, no, we need to do it, it's whatever. And she was the one who was just like, no. And my mom, as you know, being her foster mother, she'd had a really rough upbringing and had come to live with us. And it's not my story to share, but it's one of those things that's like, gosh, how does one person experience so much trauma and tragedy in their life and just keep waking up every day and putting one foot in front of the other? And it's because their life is the example to others. So I didn't have to live it. I got to watch it, or I had to watch it, and I had to witness it. And then from witnessing that and that miracle within, that, you know, Austin came around and he's fully functioning intellectually now. His body is still paralyzed. He has a ventilator. He lives on a vent, and there's a constant threat of, you know, anything could happen. And again, we've come to accept that like these additional 6.5 years that we've had with him, or 6 years, 9 months, because his accident was in March of 2013, have all been a blessing. And in that moment, you know, to answer the question, can a soul choose? I'm going to read the question again. Why would a soul choose to do that? Do they have options? In this case, and this is as close to my lived experience as I have got in my personal life and any readings that I've done, is he did have a choice. He could have said, I don't want to live in this body. I don't want to be trapped. I'm going to go to my creator. I'm going to go back to source. I'm going to go back wherever. And he said, no, I'm not ready. I have things I need to do. And so he came back, and now we've been living that for 7 years. And the beauty of his life has been such a legacy for the people in the small town where I'm from, where they have seen somebody live with such adversity. And he has a nonprofit where they collect, it's called Austin's Compassionate Exchange, ACE, and they collect like used like crutches and medical equipment that people in long-term care, people who have passed on or have been rehabilitated, they've come back to full health. Then what do you do with it? You just throw it out? Like you've got a $10,000 mechanical bed that supported somebody while they were temporarily like couldn't use their legs. My words are escaping me tonight. I was not planning on sharing this story. And so my foster sister has started this compassionate exchange where she exchanges like medical equipment. And it's just so crazy because like even this week, I know somebody here in Malawi, there's 2 individuals, I see them walking all the time. And I like literally just decided, I was like, I'm gonna solve their mobility issues. Like I just decided, and I was like, how do I do this? And so I called my sister and I was like, hey, there's these 2 people, I think they have polio or they had polio as children. Before I get involved and tell them that I might be able to get them something to assist them, like what would I get you know, I got my brother involved, who's a chiropractor, my mom involved, who's a doctor. And I like was, you know, I was like, okay, if I wanted to help these people, like what options do I have? Like, what could I get? And like the three of them in a few seconds were like, I don't know, it's like really not that big of a deal. You go to Tina's place, she's got the compassionate exchange. We get them these like walking crutches where you don't have to use your arms. They're like, I don't even know what it's called. It's like a crutch where you don't need crutches, whatever, they knew. And I was like, wait, so I could like actually solve this. I was like, cause I don't want to tell these people that I might be able to help them if I can't actually help them. Like, I'm not gonna give somebody who like has polio, who had polio as a child and like doesn't have function in their leg and scoliosis, like false hope, unless I can like actually solve this or at least present some sort of alternative. And my mom and my brother and my foster sister are like, are you kidding me? Like we can keep people alive, you know, through a global pandemic, like a paraplegic. You mean we can't get this girl a crutch? Like, Autumn, what are you thinking? And I'm like, oh, right, okay. And so to go back to the original question of like, why would a soul choose that? If there's two paths that a soul can go to, and I've heard this many times, and in my readings when I've connected with people who have actually chosen the other path, which is to transition, it's which option will give the people in that, it's called like a soul group or like a family group or a soul constellation, the most like the most lessons and like the most organic change that wouldn't be forced. And so in this situation, you know, if my nephew wasn't a quadriplegic, I don't know that I would like be so passionate of like getting involved in two people's lives and trying to make it better without knowing that there were so many people who did that for my nephew, and his situation was like so much more what would you call it? Like just like literally like he needs 24/7 care. Grievous, I can't remember the word. So okay, so the point of the story is, why would somebody choose it? It's the amount of lessons. Why would a soul choose this? It's the amount of lessons that they can then kind of be a part of in their soul group. And sometimes those lessons do involve transitioning and the lessons that you learn from that. So for example, suicide. Sometimes that's a matter of the soul group needing to learn something, and then the individual kind of like, it's almost like they opt out, and then they go and they kind of like sit in, I don't know, call it timeout, but like they sit in reflection for a long time before they kind of move through. And you know, religious texts describe it as purgatory. I wouldn't call it purgatory because they're not being tortured, but it's like sitting on the sidelines and watching everything unfold. And you just have to watch. You can't be an active part in it until, you know, things kind of reach their natural conclusion, and then you can move into it. Okay, so I'm gonna go on from that story. I am so sorry. I literally don't even know how we got into that. That's like one of those long stories. I don't share that often because it's so many. Okay, thank you for sharing. It hits home with a recent person passing away and causing a mass grief. Oh, I'm so sorry. It has brought about a lot of lessons for the collective. Absolutely. And so in a second, Lindri, if you'd like to come on, we can, I can turn off the recording at the very end and you and I can just have a Q&A. But yeah, so sometimes it's like, it's for the benefit of the soul group and the collective, and like what lessons can we all learn from that? And I do think that there is a lot more choice than society or culture would give us the option of believing that there is. My husband and I just had a deep conversation about this last night, that we're going to be moving again in a year, and where we're going to go next and what we want to do. And, you know, we've had this discussion about careers and finance and all that. And it's like, well, if money wasn't an object, which like at this point in our life, it's not an object, but it's not a pressing concern. And it's not something that I have to like really be stressed out about. And he said, what would you want to do if you could do anything? Like, do you want to, you know, go back to doing readings full time because we might be in the DC area? Like, do you want to, you know, get back into a more visible position? I said, no, you know what I would like to do? I would like to sit with dying people. I would like to go back to doing hospice work, which is kind of like, I say I did hospice when I was a kid. I didn't actually do hospice as a kid. I volunteered for hospice as a teenager in like the fundraising portion of it. And I did spend a lot of time with dying people, by virtue of my mother being a physician, their physician, and she was always there. And I was always just kind of there to be the, you know, the entertainment. My mom would literally be like, can you just like do a dance and like make them happy for a little bit? And then that sounds weird, but it was more like, just bring some levity to the situation. And as a kid, I didn't understand the gravity of what was going on. And in reflection, knowing that I played a role in someone's transition in a positive way is literally the only thing that is calling to me in this moment. I think readings are important and doing mediumship is important for the living, but I do feel a deep calling to sit with the dying. And that's kind of crazy. And I don't know, who knows, Soul Nada might be changing. Because I do believe in manifestation. I do believe in moons, and I do believe in like living a cyclical life to manifest the life that you love. But at a certain point, there is a natural conclusion to that life. And if not a natural conclusion for the individual, then there needs to be a natural conclusion for those that are living. So to speak to what you were just saying, Andrea, about when someone transitions, they're not done because they go to another plane and they do their own set of learning, but it's like they're removed from the situation. And then it's the rest of us sitting and looking. And then there can be the range of emotions: grief, anger, resentment, peace, sometimes relief, jealousy. Sometimes people can be jealous. I've known elderly people who their loved ones have transitioned before them, and then they get angry. They're first jealous. Well, first they're angry, and then they're kind of jealous, and then it kind of feeds on itself. It's like, well, maybe if you're just here for a little bit longer, there's a reason, and you can just enjoy that time, and then you can. And anyways, I'm gonna finish this, and then I'm gonna turn off the recording so we can chat. Okay, so just to get back to the Leo new moon ritual, it is, last month we finished our vision boards in Cancer, and now this month we're going to we're going to shift into receiving mode by simply charging the vision board under the light of the new moon, and then witnessing our dreams manifest. The recipe for the new moon, like new moon dust, is in the Cancer new moon. You can go check that in the members ceremony, and you can just kind of like fine tune your board, and anything that doesn't feel exactly in alignment, just take it off. It's better to have less on there than more. I'm just, my vision board's right there, and so I'm just looking at it. I'm like, I've had this castle on my vision board for like a year now, and I couldn't figure out why. I'm like, why do I have that? And I kept putting it in my kids' quadrant. There's a point to this. And so if you did the ritual and you know what the Chinese Bagua is, it's in the Cancer new moon. And so when I'm saying it's in my kids' quadrant, you'll know where that is if you go back and look at a Cancer new moon. And I kept putting this castle image back in my kids' quadrant. I'm like, why? Like, my girls aren't even that into Disney or princesses or anything like that. And I kept putting it up. Now all of a sudden they're into Harry Potter, which I was a huge Harry Potter nerd when I was a kid. Not even a nerd, just Harry Potter muggle. And now we're talking about going to Harry Potter. And the whole theme of Harry Potter world, once everything opens back up, is that it's a castle. Hogwarts is a castle. And I've had that on my vision board for about a year. And I do not know why. I didn't know why it was on there originally. And I couldn't connect to it. I just kept thinking like, but I don't want to take it down. I want it up there. But I don't really like feel the need to go see like, a castle in England. I mean, maybe if we're driving around and we see one, I would go in and check it out because I think I'm into history. I think that's cool, but why do I have this? And now all of a sudden I'm like, ding, 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 like Harry Potter, Hogwarts, we're gonna take the kids to the Hogwarts castle. Like, and so that's been on my vision board for a year, and I had no idea why. I just kept putting it there, and I just couldn't quite throw it away. So what I'm saying this month is pay attention to those feelings. If something like you put it on, you're just like, why do you even get? I'm done with this. Like, you got to get off my vision board. Like, whatever you are, if you're going to manifest, you can manifest out of my conscious attention. So don't think that just because you're taking it down from your vision board means it will never happen. Just kind of release it and surrender it. And what might be kind of cool is that like you will have forgotten that you wanted something, so that when you get it, you're like, I can't even believe that I got this. And then you might think back like I did years and years ago when I got this. I became a published author in academia, which is like it was a goal at the time. And now looking back, I'm like, man, I was a nerd and I really wasn't thinking very big. But I'd like taken it off my vision board because I totally forgot about it. And it wasn't until, even like 6 months ago, I got an article. I got a magazine, and I was published in it. And I was just like, oh, that's right. Like that had been on my vision board, but it's been so gone for so long. that I wasn't actively seeking it anymore. But when it came, the manifestation of it, I was like, oh, there you are, you know, beautiful bouquet of dreams that I forgot I had planted and achieved so many years ago. Well, that was fun. So that's to say this month, just kind of tune into your vision board, let it be easy. If you use crystal energies, you can create like a crystal grid around it. And then make your bedroom nice. You know, I'm gonna let you guys dig into this. I'm going to stop recording now. Make sure you check out the new ritual. It's got a lot in there. And the motto for this month is let it be easy. Let it be easy. Because the more we try and the more we push, it's like the more the universe is going to try to support us in getting exactly what we want, but it may not, you know, if we just say like, let it be easy, just like, let it come. However, you know, somebody keeps telling me to open a fans only account and I'm like, yeah, maybe I will. I'm like, maybe I won't, but if it was easy, maybe I would. So like, open yourself up to whatever comes. And if it's easy, step through, because that's what's meant for you. And if there's anything I've ever learned from the dying or people who have transitioned, because we're on the thread of mediumship, it's that the path of least resistance is the one that you're supposed to go down. Because when you're going down the path of least resistance, the universe is going to conspire to help you, and it's going to let you utilize all of your skills that you're innately good at, your wheelhouse, if you will. It's going to activate all those things. So it's going to feel easy. And we've been trained by society and culture that it's like things actually have to be really hard. And then once you achieve them, then good job. It's like, no. It can just be easy because you're utilizing your natural skills. And that's what you came here for. Like, you know, the fruit embodies the essence of the seed. And so just like that, it's like your soul embodies, your lived experience embodies the essence of your soul. And if you're honoring that at every step, things are going to be easy. Just to wrap this up in a bow, this example of helping these two individuals with mobility issues. I waited a year to solve this problem. These individuals had no idea that they were on my radar. I would drive by them, I would see them walking, and I would think, is there a way that I can hire them? Is there a way I can employ them? Is there a way I can make this not be weird? Like, and I just solve their mobility issue? Or does that make me this, like, you know, all the bad things that people say about people who go to Africa and they try to do good and then get like entangled and it's not good. And I was just like, you know what? I don't even care. I can solve this. Take a few pictures, ask a few questions, consent. There's, you know, there's a dialogue, and then there was no promises. It's like, if I was able to like get a new crutch, would you be interested in using it? And even if they don't, whatever, like they can give it to somebody else. But like, at least I'm doing what's easy to me. I call a few people, I get a few resources together, done. And it's like, it just doesn't have to be that difficult. You don't have to make it that hard. Okay, that's all I'm gonna say on that. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. Make sure you plant your intentions. I'm gonna turn this off for anybody who's on the call to ask Q&A. And then as we move into, oh yes, entanglement, thank you. I was like, there's one more thing and I just forgot. Entanglement, okay, before I close out. So Dean Radin has this new book called Entangled, it's called Entangled Minds. And so unentanglement and entanglement, it's like where you, entanglement is exactly what it sounds like. Like if you meet somebody and you kind of, you know, like a relationship, that'd be like an entanglement. I think there's something happening in pop culture right now. People are using the word in that sense to describe an affair. And it's like, well, was it an affair? Was it an entanglement? What's the difference? But there is an energetic component to it. And it's where you kind of like move into somebody's energy and then they manifest into your reality. And it's this idea, and I'm not going to get into the science of it. Listen to Dean Radin's book, Entangled Minds, or just Google him. Google Dean Radin, Entangled Minds, or go to the website, on my website, and look up episode 105, Real Magic. So you'll know who I'm talking about. And then just Google him and you can find him talking about it. You don't necessarily need the book, because in fact, I think the book is kind of redundant if you've like listened to his other stuff. But if it's the first time you're finding him, it's great info. And I'm going to have him on the show in a couple months once I catch my breath and I let life be easy. I've got a bunch of guests scheduled to be on the podcast, and I just haven't had time to interview because I haven't let things be easy. I'm going to let things be easy. So, entanglement. It's this idea that our energies become entangled and things just kind of manifest and like serendipitously. He gives an example of how he moved to Silicon Valley and was trying to do psi Psi Research, PSI, and it's basically like mediumship and wizardry and witchcraft of the 2020s, of the tech age, of the scientific age, where they're actually trying to quantify and like get data points on all of these things that, you know, mediums and witches and wizards and warlocks and shamans and healers have been experiencing for millennia, but it had kind of like got pushed into the fringes of society once religion came into play, and then like culture shifted more to a scientific approach, and we didn't quite need the hocus pocus. We needed like hard data and facts. And so now they're trying to like put the science behind it. And more we're seeing that like it's permeating culture. Like I just got an email from a company, it was like a tech company. And they were like, this is your weekly vibes check. Make sure that you are monitoring your energy and like, blah, blah, blah. And I was like, Planoly? Like the people who schedule my Instagram posts are telling me to check my vibes? Like, cool, you're speaking my language, but like, you're gonna put on a webinar about this? Like, I mean, stay in your lane, but like also like, cool. Like, I like that you're in my lane. I like that you're in like this other lane, because it just shows how this stuff is starting to like become more and more mainstream, because it's like we can't fight it. And I think the pandemic's bringing that totally to light. The fact that people have been able to go inward and listen to themselves for 6 months and not having constant stimuli. I mean, if you've been able to kind of keep a distance from like the news and just the 24/7 feeding of information from other people or other experiences, and go into yourself and like find out what is true for you. I think that more and more people are seeing this veil come down and go like, well, my intuition is telling me one thing. And so when they re-enter the real world, I think it's gonna be really interesting to see how much people are like, well, this guy's telling me this. And back in January, I would have believed everything I had to say. And in August, I don't think so. And in September, for sure not. Like, so I just think that's gonna be really interesting. And Dean Radin talks about this idea of entanglement, and how when we start to let our energy like meld into other people's energy or into other ideas, like it doesn't even have to be a person, it can be like an idea, like in his case, Psi Research, just like the quantum research I was just discussing. He got an office building, and he went to go knock on the door next door because their name was like Psi something international. He's like, oh, that's so crazy that this building next door would also be called PSI. Like, we're the only Psi tech company in all of Silicon Valley since like the early 2000s. And they're like, so how funny is it that like the people next door have PSI as their name? And, you know, they're probably like accountants, but it'll be really funny to like tell them like that we're also PSI. He goes to knock on the door, and the guy opens the door and it's like, Dean Radin? And he's like, yeah, I just moved in next door. Do you see my name? He's like, no, I've been trying to manifest you for like however many months. I've been doing this deep yogic, you know, visualization, trying to call you in. He's like, I didn't think you'd actually come knock on my door. And Dean Radin's like, okay, wait, what? Because like, I thought I was just going to come over and make a joke about like the fact that we both have PSI as like our titles, and we're next door to each other, and how random and bizarre that is. And so that was when kind of like this idea of entanglement is something he started studying and then kind of like putting out into the zeitgeist. And 2 nights ago, I said to my husband, like, dude, like, okay, we're getting ready to go somewhere next. Like we are in the process of entangling our next assignment, wherever we go next, whatever we're going to do, you know, because we're not going to be in Africa forever. And we're like, what energy do we want to entangle with? You know, we wanted to entangle with ambassadors and military leaders and, you know, whatever the energy that we're in right now. We called that in based on the contrast of the other entanglements that we were in when we were in DC. We're like, how can we take all these good things that we are entangled in, or this energy that we're enmeshed in, and then like find another part that we're enmeshed in, like, and go into that. And it's like, somebody I know who watches this, like really into festivals. It's like so fun. I missed my festival days. I grew up too soon. And it's almost like you go to one festival and you're kind of like, oh man, it's really cool. But like those people like were really drugged out. And then like some people got kind of violent, like that kind of stuff. So next time we go to a festival, like let's go to one where like people are a little bit more chill and maybe there's not so much dust and we can do this. And so it's like this matter of like kind of refining your desires as far as intention planting in a desire language, but you're entangling into the things that you're desiring. But like it's almost like you're like, but I don't know what that experience is going to look like. So I'm just going to go with the feeling of like how I want it to feel when I'm there. And it's like, I want to feel safe, or I want to be able to like dance and enjoy the music and and wear whatever I want to wear and not be judged and feel safe and not have to worry that like, you know, I can have this great experience, but then walking back to the car, something weird might happen. Like, so it's just a matter of like, you probably can't see my hands. It's just like, you're just kind of like folding in to an experience by contrasting it with what you're ready to release. And in his idea of like entanglement, it's that you could actually like enmesh yourself into like groups of people or places or ideas. My big thing is Elon Musk. Like at some point when he's either on the podcast or I meet him in real life, like I was like, man, she's been talking about this for a minute. And it's because I'm entangling with the energy of someone who really just doesn't give a F what people think, but also is thinking so far outside of the box that like, that is what I find fascinating. I find it intriguing. And I find that mental space to be something that I want to entangle with. So 2 nights ago, my husband said, okay, we gotta like start planning. And I'm like, you know, let's not plan, let's entangle. Like, let's try this totally weird metaphysical thing. It's not really that weird, but let's try it. Like, let's just see if instead of like, being like, we want this, because we used to do like, well, at our next duty station, like for how we got Africa, we want clean air and good schools and, you know, property and blah, 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 blah. And we like listed it out, very type A Capricorn-y. And Capricorn. And this time I think we're just gonna like entangle ourselves into whatever comes next. And I said that on Monday night. And then Tuesday we're on this call because he and I both work in a similar sphere in our day jobs. And we're on a call and somebody jokingly says, hey, okay, I'm trying to like buffer out the information that I can share and can't share because it's like not golden water stuff. Long story short, the person goes, hey, so if anybody knows like a great strawberry delivery person, could you please let them, like don't keep them to yourself, share resources. Like at the end of the call, kind of throw away funny comment. And it's like, I've got my earbuds in and our gardener comes in and goes, oh, madam, like the, yeah, like I don't think they call it, it's like the strawberry guy's here. And I was like, oh, but it's Tuesday. Like he usually doesn't come till Friday because it's strawberry season here in Milan. And I was like, oh, okay, well, just give me 1 second. I'm finishing this call. And the person who had said, if anybody knows a good strawberry person, send them my way, lives across the street. And so like they were literally saying the words, like, if you know a good strawberry person, don't keep them to yourself. Gardener comes in to let me know the guy's at my front gate. And I'm like, but he doesn't come till Friday, but it's Tuesday. And part of what I do in my day job is like just making sure that kind of stuff like does get shared, the information does get out, even if it's something as random as strawberry deliveries. And I just said, oh, okay, awesome. So I went out and I said, hey, do you have extra? Cool, can you go across the street? And so like in a matter of 5 minutes, this person who had like spoken this request out loud, half as a joke, half as a throwaway comment, also like wanting that, desiring that, but definitely not thinking it would happen within like a 5-minute turnaround. I mean, we live in Malawi, this person who's delivering strawberries like walking on foot. And he probably just had a fresh batch and knows that I get them on Friday. So like, you know, maybe I'll just swing by her house, see if she wants any now. Cool. And it like within 5 minutes, and then the person who was like, are you psychic? Like, how did you know that I wanted strawberries? And I was like, okay, I'm not gonna tell you what I do on the weekends. Because you could just go on YouTube and find out. But it was just such a bizarre example of entanglement where like the night before I had said to my husband, like, well, let's just try to entangle. And super low stakes. We're talking about like a strawberry delivery, which in and of itself, not that exciting, but it kind of is, because if we can entangle for like getting someone's need met to, you know, have strawberries delivered within 5 minutes and jokingly putting the request out to the universe or to a group of, you know, 40 people, what else can we like entangle in? And so I'm going to let that energy sit in this call. The energy of the Leo new moon is let it be easy. Let it be easy. Let it be easy. And I'm going to really like see if we can carry that with us for the rest of 2012 as a circle. And I will leave it there. Be sure to get the ritual. Thank you all so much. And anybody who wants to stay on for Q&A after the recording, we can do so. All right, with love and light, Autumn. Recording, turn off the recording, stop.